Welcome back to the series where we overanalyze a character who is deep as a puddle. In all seriousness, it was actually kind of fun taking a detailed look at Cat of all characters and just seeing how much he grew during the first 5 seasons. In seasons 1 and 2, he was basically a cartoon cat in a human suit, though in the latter he was gradually becoming a member of the crew, even if he didn't do a whole lot. In season 3, he starts piloting spaceships, a little anyway, and is able to use a bazookoid. Meanwhile, he kind of gradually sheds his indifference toward the rest of the crew, well, Rimmer excluded because it's Rimmer, and by season 6 he becomes a fairly well-rounded character. By the way, from here on out, the videos are probably going to be a lot shorter than that first batch. Since Cat kind of reaches an apex in season 6 before he regresses a little, then kind of stays there. Also, his wardrobe gets pared down to about 1 suit per episode, and even then it's mainly just the jacket and accessories that change, but I'll go into that more later. Another characteristic in the beginning is that despite Cat looking human, he kind of acted as Lister's pet, and Lister responded in kind. They had a pretty amusing dynamic, but like everything else, that evolved over time, and at this point Cat is really more like Lister's little brother. Lister's kind of protective of him despite finding him annoying at times. Again, that's just cute. In fact, one example that I kind of forgot to point out last time was in Quarantine, when after talking to Rimmer, Cat gets upset and lunges at him. Lister holds him back and then just kind of keeps his arm around him for the rest of the conversation. I love little details like that to show how close they are. Anyway, on to season 6.
Besides, the cat has invited me to join him in the weekly crap game tonight.
He's gonna be the dice.
It's revealed in Sirens that not only is Cat a regular pilot now, but Crichton even vouches for him.
I recommend the cat pilots with his superior reflexes and nasal intuition. That will give us our best chance.
He can also, smell things coming through space.
Something's coming. I can smell it. Something big.
I'm pretty sure that's exclusive to season 6. I've heard people try to justify it as an unidentified sixth sense that's referenced metaphorically by a primary sense. There's actually some interesting speculation on TV tropes about it. You can pause here and read it if you want. But honestly, I think it's just one of those silly things the writers added just to be cute. I mean, I could see Cat calling it that because he doesn't know any better, but even Crichton mentions that it's a sense of smell with no indication that that's some kind of metaphor, and Crichton is the sort of character who would take things more literally. Anyway, Cat is definitely useful now, and they even added a silly little twist to make it kind of fun. This is also where the wise old cat sayings and proverbs becomes a running joke.
There's an old cat proverb. It's better to live 1 hour as a tiger than a whole lifetime as a worm.
It's not the first time he's said one, but season 6 is where it definitely becomes a thing. I actually unironically like some of these. A lot of them are about taking chances and such. They're worded in kind of a silly way because they're from a cat's perspective, but in spirit, some of them aren't bad mantras to have.
If you're gonna eat tuna, expect bones.
There's an old human saying, if you're gonna talk garbage, expect pain.
Oh, and some of them are followed by Rimmer getting back at him with a fake human proverb.
There's an old human proverb, whoever heard of a wormskin rug?
Speaking of running jokes, Cat has yet another one. Face it, we're deader than insert outdated fashion here.
Face it, we're deader than corduroy. That's it, we're deader than tank tops. The entire panel's deader than A-line flares with pockets in the knees. That's it, we're platform shoes, man.
Cat's love of fashion combined with clever one-liners. It's just perfect season 6 dialogue for him. And back to Cat's piloting skills. He even manages to spout some minor techno-babble.
Engaging reheat. I'm starting the engines. Navicom blocked. Entering atmosphere. Storm front ahead. Switching to manual.
Nowhere near the level of Geordie LaForge, of course, but this is the guy who didn't even recognize his own shadow the first time we saw him, so it's still pretty impressive. By the way, totally unrelated to the cat, but here's a hilarious bit that I missed when I originally covered this episode. When the red is splashed on the screen, if you really listen, the guy is saying, "You squeezed all the ketchup out of me burger!"
Squeezed all the ketchup out of my burger!
I think it's one of those things that you don't catch unless you know to listen for it.
Incoming message!
But yeah, for all Cat has come up, we still get Cat as dumb gags.
We need males to spread their seed amongst our number.
They want seed spreaders. I'm gonna apply. You guys deal with the siren thing, I'll deal with this.
Honestly, I like him being a contradiction like that. To paraphrase what I said in the very first video, cats are walking contradictions and can be smart and stupid all at the same time. His season 1 iteration was fun, but looking back, it's very one note. Now he has a little more dimension.
Call me paranoid, But you don't think they would these siren dude things, do you?
Also, he does at least have enough awareness to second guess himself. That's definitely something that wouldn't have happened even just a couple seasons ago.
More trouble than heading straight for us.
It always tickles me a little when these two get this close. It may just be a cultural thing, but I'm not used to seeing straight guys doing that. Anyway, Kat's sense of smell comes into play here because there's a flaming meteor heading towards Starbug, and Crichton knows it's an illusion partly because Kat doesn't smell anything. But then another one shows up, and this one is real because it damages Starbug. I wonder why Kat didn't smell this one coming, or at least there was no mention of it. Another really cute running gag is that Lister will occasionally say something totally outlandish just to see if Kat will buy it.
The only thing that always survives intact is a cute little doll. So they made Starbug out of the same stuff.
And he always does.
Cat, you're so gullible. Thanks.
But yeah, Kat is still the one wielding the bazookoid. Granted, Crichton has a gun too, but it's less impressive looking. Either way, when the siren disguised as Lister is able to play the guitar really well, they don't hesitate to shoot it.
How did you know that wasn't me?
Because that dude could play.
And after the real Lister plays his guitar, Kat is tempted to shoot him as well.
Little survival tip, bud. Never play your guitar in front of a man with a loaded gun.
There's even a Lister and Kat are dumb gag where they approach an out-of-place vending machine that turns out to be a siren. And after it knocks them out, it's trying to decide which brain to eat first and doesn't seem too enthusiastic about either.
And you are the cat.
You come anywhere near me, buddy, you be wearing them bowels as a bubble hat.
Apparently at nighttime, Lister and Kat take turns piloting Starbug, and one of the first scenes in Legion involves Kat about to take his turn, and he complains about Lister leaving the area so messy.
Peanuts?
No, I've been trimming my verrucas.
So Lister uses the opportunity to mess with him some more.
You really think I'm psychotically disgusting, don't you? The peanuts, okay?
Where'd you get them?
Derelict a couple of months back. Found him in the dead captain's old donkey jacket. You enjoyed that mint imperial, didn't you?
And where'd you get that?
He was sucking that when he got shot.
But Kat does catch on. Sort of.
Get out of here. I gotta keep my eyes skinned for that asteroid shaped like a dancing moose you told me about yesterday.
So while Kat can pilot Starbug and knows some technical terms, he still doesn't know what to call unidentified objects in space.
All hands on deck, swirly thing alert.
Back to Kat's ability to smell things coming. He's got some pride regarding that and doesn't like to be questioned.
Sir, is it possible you could have made a missmelling?
Listen, Butterpat Head.
I love this bit where Crichton thinks he misidentified something.
I'm telling you there's something out there.
No one's questioning your nasal integrity.
Here's a very subtle thing that I think is cute and goes with my earlier observations about Kat and Crichton getting along well. They're about to board Legion space station. Crichton stands by the door and lets everyone go first, and Kat gives a polite nod as he walks by. It's very elegant. Afterwards, Kat senses Legion's presence as he's forming and he alerts the others. A little later, they're all trying to impress Legion, and Kat has some cute lines that aren't very helpful.
Many's the night we while away the wee hours contemplating a Caravaggio.
The pointy stick game doesn't get a look in anymore.
We use them all the time.
Can't even remember what a fork looks like.
Meanwhile, he still has trouble with some technical jargon.
Simply invert the ionic phase in the down pulse of the field margin.
I was with you all the way up to simply.
Like I've said, these two are way too close.
Cat caviar nibbling.
And again, Kat is still kind of dumb in a way.
There's just one thing that still baffles me.
What's that?
Everything.
They discover that Legion is an amalgam of all of their personalities and...
So if he's us, he can't hurt us, right?
So to fight Legion, Crichton needs to knock all of them unconscious. Kat is fine with it on one condition.
Permission to lay you out, sir. Do what you gotta, but don't mess up my hair.
Kind of weird that he doesn't consider that he could get a black eye or other bruising from it. That'd take a lot longer to fix than messed up hair. Also, we get one of those classic fallovers where he goes stiff as a board. There's also kind of a fun visual at the end where a hole gets blown in Starbug, and they're all trying not to get sucked out into space, and Kat just kind of rolls by.
They believe you to be the vermin of the universe, sir.
Didn't even know they'd met him.
And here comes Gunmen of the Apocalypse. Starbug is running on limited power, so they're relying on Kat's nose.
Stay alert.
Okay, bud. I'll keep my nose peeled.
A little later, Lister wants to fool the simulants into thinking there's no humans or humanoids on board the ship, so he comes up with this ingenious disguise.
Is that not right, Bindi Badgie?
Which looks especially weird on Kat.
How's it going, bud?
This next bit isn't exactly an old cat proverb, but he does use a very feline way of thinking, and I kind of love it.
It's called cat and mouse. And there's only one way to win. Don't be the mouse. I'm saying the mouse never wins. Not unless you believe those lying cartoons.
Yeah, as much as I love Tom and Jerry, I can't blame Kat for finding it offensive. For what it's worth, my favorites were always the ones where Tom wins. They're few and far between, but so satisfying.
We don't run, we strike. It's the last thing they'll be expecting.
Anyway, Lister likes his plan and they go with it.
Are you nuts? What happens if we all get killed? I'll never hear the last of it.
After seeing that Crichton isn't doing too well fighting the virus, Kat wants to help him and he has an idea which he expresses in a silly way, but it's actually a pretty sound concept.
Somehow turn ourselves into tiny electronic people and get into his dream? And if not, why not?
Also, I love that last bit. I quote it all the time. But again, Lister thinks he's onto something.
Twice in one lifetime? When you're hot, you're hot.
They can use the AR game to hack into Crichton's subconscious and help him out. These are the best Kat moments in all of Red Dwarf, and probably some of the best moments overall. Everyone talks about how he hams it up, and that's amazing, but I also like how committed he is to being in character with all the little things he says with a Mexican accent.
Señorita, tres tequila, por favor.
He means 3 shots of gulping whiskey, ma'am.
See, I was expecting something with a little more kick to it. What is he doing?
Either way, here's his big moment.
They call me the Kid. The Riviera Kid.
Where he shoots the enemy's bullets out of the air. By the way, they used a special effect for the gun twirling in the end, but Danny said in the making of documentary that he learned to twirl the guns anyway.
You know, Sammy Davis Jr. used to do it in his act. Sammy Davis does all this stuff, and he's singing da 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 dum, and he's doing his tricks, and he goes, "Well, I wouldn't wear them if I couldn't use them."
So I guess that's another ability of his to add to the list, along with dancing, juggling, roller skating, singing, and riding a unicycle. This list is getting long. Also, Danny had a suggestion regarding the Riviera Kid's little catchphrase, but it went unused.
I actually wanted, every time he did the Riviera Kid, that he'd go, the Riviera Kid, and then the guitar would fly in and he'd catch it. Dun, 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 whoom. You know, and that's what I really wanted to do, and I forgot to ask Doug.
And here's another great moment. They need to stop Crichton from running away, and he's got a big lead on them, so Kat saves them some time. Once again, Kat is reasonably smart in Season 6. After getting Crichton's guns back, he notices that there's nowhere for the bullets to go, and there are doves carved into the handles. So they symbolize the dove program Crichton is trying to create. Okay, he doesn't say that second part, but it's implied that he made the connection. Kat's also the one being the lookout while the other two help Crichton get his memory back. If there's anyone who would be able to tell when someone's coming, it'd be the one with heightened senses. So the special abilities they had in the game get taken away, but it takes them a minute to notice. Danny also said that those guns were really heavy.
Real Colt 45s that weigh in excess, I don't know, between a bag of sugar on each finger. And that's how heavy they were.
I still think Kat trying to pull Lister's headset off while they're in the game looks hilarious.
Not gonna make it!
When I originally covered this episode, I pointed out how great it was that the writers weren't afraid to let the characters grow and show how they're doing pretty well for themselves, all things considered. And it's especially evident with the cat.
It's got an ocean. Can you get us there?
This mouse shit rolled. I'll get you there, buddy.
Emo Hawk starts with Rimmer trying to get Lister and Kat to do a drill, and they react about as much as you'd expect. By the way, I seriously doubt that Lister and Kat share a room. I'm pretty sure this is just a case of Kat napping in the spare bunk. Anyway, they don't show up in the cockpit until over an hour later as an extra little fuck you to Rimmer. Rimmer talks about how he wants things to be more military-like and gets on the subject of haircuts, and this little gem happens.
Would it harm you to have hair like mine?
I have got hair like yours, just not on my head.
Crichton and Rimmer's reactions are gold. I love this bit where Rimmer asks for a damage report and Kat reads a bunch of stuff off the monitor that you'd only have to look around to notice.
There are several small fires in the cockpit, lots of smoke, and the nappy comes fizzing. Now the damage report machine's exploded.
At least Mr. Lister's guitar survived intact.
Also, Kat really doesn't like Lister's guitar playing.
Not even Mr. Lister's guitar survived intact.
So there are some moments in Season 6 and 7 where Kat sounds like he's saying something smart.
It could tell us a whole heck of a lot about what we're dealing with here. Yep. This came from a boa, right?
And then he blows it.
I was expecting to get a lot more than that.
Once again, Kat has a plan that they end up going with.
We do the trade, you go through with the wedding. When everybody's asleep, we come back and rescue you.
So that's 3 times in one lifetime, though Lister ends up blowing it later. After the Gelfs send the emo hawk after them, Kat is on the lookout for it.
It's a stick! No, it's not. Oh my God, I'm so jumpy. I thought it was a stick.
Yes, it was. Anyway, the emo hawk sneaks onto the ship. Kat is still smelling it and thinks he just needs to wash his hands. Gotta love the cat-like way he sneaks around while looking for it. So yeah, Dwayne Dibley is back, and Kat is not happy about it.
Dwayne Dibley!
Can you smell it?
The only scent I'm getting is extra strong spot cream, and the dandruff shampoo that doesn't work.
Interesting to note that Kat loses his sense of smell when he's Dwayne. Also, seeing Dwayne Dibley wear Kat's clothes looks really odd, almost like someone switched the cat's head with that of the Nutty Professor.
What a guy.
I don't have a whole lot else to say about Dwayne Dibley that I didn't already say when I covered Back to Reality. Except that he gets a lot more to work with here, and he is pretty funny. Also, I'll just mention this here since I don't think there's much point in talking about Can't Smeg, Won't Smeg again here, since Kat was barely in it, and it's a Dwayne Dibley thing. Holy crap, Danny is a freaking pro at chopping vegetables. I guess we can add that to the list. Along with dancing, juggling, roller skating, singing, riding a unicycle, and gun twirling.
One of the suckers bumps into me, he'll be lunching on laser. Last time we met, I was wearing the same outfit, and no one's gonna survive to tell that story.
The beginning of Rimmerworld has another scene that shows how Lister is protective of Kat.
So I didn't want to say in front of the cat. The reserve fuel tank got punctured.
And Kat's still oblivious. That's cute. Also, Kat is wearing the same outfit here that he wore in the non-Western scenes in Gunmen of the Apocalypse.
And although it looks like I'm wearing the same outfit today, it is in fact an entirely different cute little black number with completely different gold spangle.
I love that look on Lister's face, like, stop embarrassing us in front of the simulant. That's the last thing Kat says in this conversation, but he kind of silently backs up Lister and his expressions are great, especially here.
As far as psychotic, deranged, ruthless killer simulants go, you're a bit of a babe. What are you doing tonight?
There's a 20% chance you'll be turned inside out when you materialize.
Let me check my lining. Innards and lavender. I can carry that off.
Here's one of those minor details that I like to notice. Crichton takes them back in time by a few days on accident, and while Crichton talks to himself, that version of Kat just kind of picks at his clothes the whole time. I don't know, it's just one of those little things that amuses me. Anyway, they get separated from Rimmer, and Kat takes that about as well as you'd expect.
All in all, 100% successful trip.
Sir, we lost Mr. Rimmer.
All in all, 100% successful trip.
He's really got it in for Rimmer in this one. Really, they all do, though.
Well, we could try and bring you down with a round from the laser cannon, sir.
Form an orderly queue behind the gun sight.
Isn't there some sort of time dilation problem when you go through a wormhole?
The funny part is that it'll only be a few days without Rimmer for them, no matter what the time dilation on the other side is.
600 years?
Pinch me.
Kat just wants him to suffer.
There's an old cat saying, but you don't want to hear it right now.
He's gone.
So what do we do now?
Nothing we can do. I know for a fact there's no champagne.
That smile, though.
Nasal alert.
What, you getting something?
I sure am. My nasal hairs are quivering like an opera singer's bosom on the high notes.
Once again, Kat's sense of smell comes in handy. I would imagine that Rimmer has no smell since he's a hologram, unless maybe his light bee smells like metal or something. But either way, he wouldn't smell like a human to Kat. So Kat can tell that none of these guys,
That ain't Gopo's head. He doesn't smell right.
including the one with the H on his forehead, is the real Rimmer.
Smell checks out. That truly is old toilet brush hair himself.
Heh, toilet brush hair. Not quite as funny as Grand Canyon or Trans Am wheel arch nostrils, but that's pretty good.
Can you imagine a society composed entirely of me?
The last time I did that, it took me a week to dry the mattress.
And there's another brown trousers comment.
Look, bud, I can understand them locking you up, but what have they got against me, Derek, and Titan?
And once again, Lister looks at him like, really?
Well, fun though it's been hearing about your last 500 years of total misery.
See?
For a minute there, I thought you were gonna let slip that he spends the next 557 years locked in a dungeon.
Seriously.
Don't worry, bud. If there's anything out there, we'll spot it.
Anybody hurt?
Well, my pride sure needs mouth to mouth.
And as for the cat, what an unbelievable git.
I I don't know why, but the vagueness of his criticism of Kat after all he goes into with Lister just tickles me for some reason. So we're up to Out of Time now, where they start running into Unreality pockets. The first one causes Lister to appear to be an android. Kat doesn't buy it at first.
This doesn't tie up. If he wasn't human, I'd have known by his scent.
But for some reason, they all just kind of brush that aside, including Kat.
You think he knows?
He is surprisingly considerate in regards to Lister's feelings, though.
This is gonna crack him up. Devastate him. Who's gonna tell him?
For the moment. Here's a quick little thing that's kind of weird to me. Rimmer snaps his fingers and points toward the cockpit, and Kat just follows. Only a couple seasons ago, he refused to follow Rimmer's orders out of spite. Of course, that was right after Rimmer was an asshole to Crichton, so that was probably the main reason. Kat doesn't say much during the scene where Crichton is giving Lister orders, but he is really amused about it and his reactions are cute. Yeah, so much for considering Lister's feelings. That didn't last long.
The scanners are out, and my smell range is practically zero.
I love that he can't smell through the fog. That makes a lot of sense. But then they hit another Unreality pocket.
Where's the cat?
I'm here.
It's taken the cat, he's gone.
Where suddenly Kat doesn't exist to anyone else.
We're passing through an Unreality pocket and everything's normal.
What do you mean everything's normal? I've been invisible.
I love I've been invisibled.
Hey, buds, don't do this to me. You can't forget me. I'm unforgettable.
Can you imagine being someone like Kat and having this happen to you? It must be his worst nightmare.
What are you doing?
Can you see me?
Of course I can see you.
You all forgot who I was, don't you remember?
Anyway, they get put in deep sleep for a bit, and once they're brought out of it, I like how you can see Kat in the background sleeping in.
Some kind of transport vehicle, colour green, life forms 4, craft name Starbug.
Call me crazy, but that all sounds weirdly familiar.
Yeah, he's still kinda dumb.
So am I actually gonna get to meet me? My knees have turned to jelly.
Later on, Lister is trying to look at his future self through a camera, and naturally Kat is dying to know what his future self looks like.
That is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. What happened to my butt?
Be careful what you wish for, kitty.
Buddy, you could park a plane in that crease.
Yeah, just like Rimmer, future Kat is fat and bald and looks about 50 years older than he actually is, and his personality is just as ugly.
Shooting us would be like killing himself in the future. He won't do it.
Not only that, but when the future dwarfers talk about using the time drive to go all over history to socialize with some of the most notorious figures in history, he's the one to mention the most infamous by name.
I think they're our favorite hosts, if you don't count the Hitlers.
Oof.
Better dead than sofa-sized butt.
So when their future selves are attacking them, they fight back and it doesn't go too well. Again, Kat's actually concerned about Lister.
Is he okay?
But his death barely has time to register before... Oh, not cool, Red Dwarf. Why did you do that to me? So that's Kat from Season 6. A lot of what I said about his Season 5 iteration applies here, only he's kind of leveled up as a pilot. He seems quite a bit smarter and more thoughtful, but he still has plenty of shallow and dumb moments too. And like I said then, I love it when he's a contradiction like that. It's hard to pick a favorite iteration of Kat because he changes so much and each has its ups and downs, but Season 6 just might be my favorite. I also love his look for this season. It's probably the one where his makeup is the most consistent, though it's still not totally consistent, but it's fairly minimal. There's always eyeliner with little wings. It's pretty subtle, but it's there just enough to be seen. And sometimes there's brown lipstick. He doesn't look particularly made up. It's not too noticeable unless you're looking for it, but it gives him a very polished and cat-like look without being super obvious about it, and I totally dig that. Again, my headcanon is that Kat does not wear makeup. This is just how he looks. I especially like his hair this season. It's pulled back into a ponytail with barely any fullness to it, and the ponytail is long and forms a cute little tight curl at the bottom. Honestly, Danny has such a slim build that I think this hairstyle is the most flattering. As for the outfits, we've now entered Kat's black vinyl phase. To cut costs this season, there is a constant to Kat's outfits, where they're all built onto the same shirt and pants, and mostly just the jacket and accessories change. The pants are quilted black vinyl leggings, and the shirt is a form-fitting black vinyl turtleneck. Also, usually the cat belt is involved. Despite the lack of variety, this is what I consider Kat's most iconic look, since he has it for 2 seasons and part of the 2 following seasons, though I'm probably the minority there. Again, this is probably going to be a short segment. In Sirens, he's wearing a peach-colored waist-length jacket that appears to be covered in sequins. It's got black quilted vinyl lapels and black bands with buckles that look a little like belts on the wrists. And it's paired with a gold heart pendant and a black vinyl belt. Not the cat belt this time. In Legion, this'll be quick. It's the exact same pink tunic from Camille with possibly a different necklace, though still a silver heart pendant, and again with the cat belt. He's also wearing black gloves with it. I actually like how simple and sleek it looks. In Gunmen of the Apocalypse, he starts off wearing
A cute little black number with peach trim and gold spangles.
Yeah, that. But basically it's a waist-length black leather jacket. Honestly, the trim looks more red to me, but I guess it's the lighting. It also has large black jeweled buttons. Definitely no accessories needed for this one. Honestly, this is another one that looks almost Star Trek-y to me, or it would if not for the flashy buttons. As for the Riviera Kid costume, as great as it looks, I don't actually have that much to say about it. It's actually a fairly typical mariachi outfit. They tend to be very ornamental with a lot of lacy designs. His is just kind of on the higher end. Only difference seems to be that the pants are very, very tight. It's possible that the outfit was a little too small for him. In the making of documentary, the costume guy said that when it came in, they thought it looked tiny and that there was no way it would fit him until he tried it on.
We put it in to his trailer, and he put it on, he came out, and it's the best thing that's ever fitted him.
Either way, it works in his favor because he looks fantastic in it. I love his outfit in Emo Hawk. It's a blazer with wide red and blue stripes separated by thin white stripes, paired with a satin vest with blue, red, and yellow stripes. One of those cases where it'd be too loud if not for all the black balancing it out. In Rimmerworld,
It is in fact an entirely different cute little black number with completely different gold spangles.
yeah, same outfit as the first half of Gunmen of the Apocalypse. At least they acknowledge it. For the most part, I like what he wears in Out of Time, a leather blazer that is mostly peach with a large blue and black checkerboard pattern. The only thing I don't like is the fringe. I've never been a fan of fringe on leather jackets, but that's just personal taste. It's not like it doesn't suit him or anything. Future Cat appears to be wearing a black vinyl bodysuit. Oh, sweetie, you don't have the body to pull that off anymore. With what looks like the red plaid jacket from Inquisitor. So that's about all I have to say about the cat in Season 6. Next up is Season 7, which includes an unmade cat episode called Identity Within, and I'll be devoting the next video to that. See you then.
When I saw you for the first time, my knees began to quiver, and I got a funny feeling in my kidneys and my liver. Digestive system, baby. My hands, they started shaking, and my heart began.
How about 1422?
How about 1421?
What's the difference?
No difference. I just wanted to make it look like I was paying attention.